Informative, educative, and analytical. Getting to the real issues that affect an ordinary individual in areas of leadership, governance, social, and economy. The truth, the lies, and politics.
We do welcome you back to The Truth, Lies and Politics here on Spirit TV. My name is Paul Eki, and together with me in studio is a political analyst and an former intelligence officer, Mr. Charles Romushana. I have Mr. Kato, Kato Laban, who is a youth leader and a public policy analyst. I have a doctor, a professor, but also an anthropologist in studio, and we're looking at the 25 years, of the African Union. It celebrated early this year, and of course we now have a new president from a new chairman from President Ruto, and so. As we just break this down and try to understand some of the things, around the African Union, there were two, we left off on two important factors. That was trade, but also we're getting into the conversation around peace and stability. But Dr. Ntege wanted to emphasize something around trade before we move on to Charles.
So I was saying that the fact that we had trade connections way back before the colonial days, and during the colonial time, the reason why colonialists came here was to get resources, and they made all kind of channels, roads, rail lines, just to make sure they get something from here. This is why Chinese are here, is because of resources. So the resources are in Africa. And the people need to use those resources. So, what is lacking? The failure of the African continental free trade area is a big shame for Africans. Because if you can't do that, at least the quickest thing would be allow Africans to interact if they choose to interact and to trade.
Dr. Jerome, is that the challenge with the African Union, or the regional bodies? You have ECOWAS up in the northwest, you have the East African Community, you have SADC, plus other regional. Aren't those bodies supposed to facilitate
the regional
this
bodies
faster?
Are independent from African Union commissions.
But they work with the African
They
Union.
can have a representative, they can have observers there, but they are not the decision makers. Okay. So you don't have East African Community as a body represented in the AU. No. You don't have those ones. That's not the issue. You can have things designed in AU ratified in this area.
Right.
Okay? But to say that these bodies are influencing there, no. The bodies are still forming.
Okay.
So how come these are still new? AU would be older than some of these bodies.
Yes.
So for me, I would say we have to really emphasize that the essence of AU is so crucial on health, on medicines, on trade, on peace. But we cannot emphasize it when the people who are talking on that table are the political heads of this AU. The civil society, the African people,
not felt through.
is not represented on that table. And therefore, whatever is discussed is just another political gathering of political heads.
You have a body that is about, a body that has about 2/3 of its budget coming from donations or donors or foreign donors. What is the most before I get to Charles, what's the most likely challenge of that? Because if you can't get the funding to run your body, but you're waiting for money coming from out, what is the
Charles mentioned something just
a few minutes
ago that UN is failing, and part of the challenge of UN is also funding.
Okay.
Recently, President Trump was annoyed with WHO. He sat in his office and said, I'm walking away. I don't want WHO anymore. You know what that meant? 60% of WHO funding was taken. WHO was handling a lot of disease issues here. The same man said, I'm taking away USAID. African Union was dependent on USAID, WHO. Now imagine if a day a Chinese man says, I'm walking away from supporting African Union. What will happen? You cannot have an agency supported by 60%. In fact, the whole of African Union is just one entity represented in G20. When they talk about G20, we appear there. We don't even have a voice in the Security Council.
But we have a seat. The African Union pushed for that.
In the Security Council?
Not in the National Security, in the UN.
In the UN? We are pushing, but that is pushing. Those are our dreams. But we can't bite. We can't make critical decisions which are essential for African people. Yeah. What are the problems of African people? It's poverty. It's neocolonialism. It is poor education. It is interconnectedness. It is wars. The voice that is in African Union today is Museveni. President Museveni is the man who speaks now that people they know about coming up. If he doesn't like it, probably nothing is going to take place. When he sits like the father sitting around, what is the crisis that was in Sudan? Imagine what was in Sudan, where there was a big war within one country.
That's where I'll pause there.
How,
Charles?
How can that happen?
On these years,
Sudan, how can that happen? So we can't sit here and say, yes, there are other things they're trying to do. We can be proud of them. But as far as doing the real things that hurt African people, I think they have not yet handled any, because they don't have the mantle, they don't have the money, they don't have the currency, they don't have the tools. They have put a structure from top, but that structure has not yet penetrated the fabrics of African people and African groups of people and what they like.
All right, Charles, when you look at the geopolitics and the conflicts within, Africa, South Sudan, you have Congo, you have the northern region, where, you wonder where the African Union is, and yet we have the military, the peacekeeping, missions that they have, and has it been able to stabilize or to bring, sanity in those situations? What has been its impact in those?
What is your community? What is your community?
My community is here in Uganda, but
I'm talking about the region of the region where you come from. You are
Teso community.
So those are articles.
Yes.
Who are also connected from Ethiopia, all over Kenya, Sudan.
So articles, then you are named after the Nairo. The Nairo ticks.
It's just a label, like you said.
No, we read it in history. Because I took history, I did history. The Nairo, Nairo, and then ticks.
Nairo Hamites, yes.
So they are also Hamites.
No, these are the Hamites, not the ticks.
So if you are not a tick, you are a Hamite.
So what were you before?
What were you before?
River Nile was called River Nile.
We are still there, take care.
Even Attica, I don't think. I think that's also recent. What were you
Before.
before River Nile was called River Nile? Because River Nile is not its original. Nile is not its original name. An alien calls it Nile. And now you are called the Nilotic or the Nilo Hamite. So, is your name, is the name of this continent originally Africa?
No. That's the Italian one.
He says it's an Italian word.
So you get, so who were you before whoever called you Africa?
Questions to ask yourself and investigate.
Kushites. We had all these names. Kushites, Nubian.
We're looking at the civilizations way before.
So that's how weak you are. The whole continent, you are baptized by a tiny group of people, a tiny state, and you accept even that name. It's tiny, because those ones are very small people. Actually, not very serious. So if you're talking about you being one, being a whole, they make you a whole and give you a name. Okay. So that should be the first liberation. The second liberation is understanding some of these concepts and the interests that go with them. One is that you have a territory. So you're saying this territory, this mass is Africa. Let's go by that name. Now, then it has a people. Now, let's call them Africans.
Yes.
The third issue then would be, what is the authority? One over these people. What is that authority? So that should be the struggle, to have an African state. The mass, after the mass, I'm talking about the land, then the population.
All right.
And after that population, then you generate power within or authority within that people whom we would call the state. So can we have the African state? Because you see, what is going to define these interests is that state. What defines interests of the other communities you're talking about, the French, the Italians, because initially I think they were the Romans, those empires, the British. It is what defines their interests is their state, is their authority. The power in those people now will determine how they relate with the exterior.
All right.
With the people outside their territory. Now, for, I think, Germany, it was united through force. The unification of Germany,
by force,
was through force. At least I read some bit of Bismarck. Germany was united. First they went through wars, and they were united through force. But they were not, save for USA,
yes,
they were not neo-colonial states. For us, we are neo-colonial states. And I told you on this program that I favor the destruction of the colonial or the neo-colonial state. And then the formation of a new state. You cannot amalgamate neo-colonial states to form an African state, because and then you will say it will be for the people. You must first destroy the neo-colonial state. Systems. The pathway to the African state that is for those wishes of yours is through the destruction of the neo-colonial state. Now let's go for your wishes of resting in eternal peace. Free trade, borderless.
African continental free trade area.
Borderless. I don't know why you're putting in the word continental. Borderless.
Yes.
Borderless trade.
Borderless.
Africa. Customs union, single market.
Borderless. But see, if you want to go to any state here, you can. You can quietly go up to Cameroon and stay quietly. You can. It's possible. The Hutus in Rwanda run up to Cameroon.
Quietly.
They run. The problem is when you reach and you want to impose. We have Ethiopians here, we have Eritreans here, we even have Uganda in Zambia. You have Zimbabweans in South Africa. Now you're defining those.
Until you cause trouble, that legal.
Now you're defining those. You'll find illegally and illegally. That's your business, really. You'll see how you define them. In South Africa, yes, you noticed the South Africans were even turning against and killing those who contributed in liberating them. Now, so when you've constructed an African state after the destruction of the neo-colonial state, then you can talk about trade. But you see, trade in the current paradigm, it's interests of states, it's interests of unarmed, organized people.
Armed.
Oh yes. The British were armed, but they were pirates. So they would go and loot.
They are listening.
Elsewhere. The Americans are armed, and they now own the Middle East.
All right.
The Middle East, the Arabs, were armed, and they were agents in enslaving us. You see, are dealing with the force, and how do you impose your will and then exploit your neighbor? We went to Congo the other day and brought women. We rooted a lot of women in Congo.
No, you said they
Brought them to you.
If you are Ugandan, yes.
Do we have a constitution?
What we got from there, Mr. Museveni got a stick.
We are paying
for us. We rooted women. Now, so if you look at backward, because now these are interests of industry.
Yeah.
The industry has two interests. The first one, the backward and forward linkages, i.e. the inputs and how the inputs relate to the outputs, and then the markets. So, because we are dealing with the Keynes theory, I think the neoliberal confusion that demand determines supply, not the other way. Therefore, supply knows it cannot survive without demand.
Without demand, right?
But demand relates with the state. Because the state is in control of the currency, which you talked about. That is power. Currency simply means power. And power relates with your capacity to demand. Because the demand is a wish backed by ability to pay for that wish.
Okay.
So we measure the ability by your possession of a currency.
All right. Yes.
So the industry is looking at two things. It's looking at your wish, and for the wishes, each one of us would want to have the latest model of a Mercedes-Benz. That wish we have. Our capacity is not that we don't have what can buy a Benz. Our capacity is that we don't have access to the currency. But what we have, like what he has in his brain, those theories he has, what he has by his age, because his age is what he has in his market. They can take him to Ethiopia.
You can also take
to So that he has. The question is, can you convert it into the currency?
All right.
So why Ethiopia is interested in the dollar
Yes.
is because of the power in the dollar.
Okay. So it controls the.
So so your neighbor expects that a state like Algeria goes somewhere and grabs wealth, empowers its people, they now have capacity to purchase, and that you should become an agent of China, get goods from China, and export them to Algeria. You see, this is his illusion.
It doesn't work.
Because with what are the challenges of China? As we speak right now, I think they are even having a meeting.
It's just
One, the challenges they have, one, in the short and long run, they will not have food. They will have challenges of food. Because the population is big, it must eat.
One.
The second challenge, now they are saying their population is not consuming, purchasing power. But purchasing power relates to production and employment. You get in proper economics, proper applied economics should be employment and production. Because we have said demand determines supply.
Yes.
So I need to first get employed, have an income, then I will consume, and then there will be an industry.
Yes.
Now, where you have got very strong labor movements, that is why there is capital. The owner of capital realizes he needed a market. So he pays well the worker, so that the worker consumes. Now, for you don't want to pay your workers. You don't want to pay your own. But France pays its own. And then you say, but I can also manufacture the wine. You give me market. But you're not paying yours, therefore. So in the long run, therefore, states agree on what you call business deals.
Okay.
So Trump will go to Europe and will say, okay, let me put it this way for you to pick it, and then we'll bring it to Africa. I know you're becoming impatient with your time.
Yes.
If Britain forces Saudi Arabia to buy arms, so you'll buy a fighter jet. Now it has, yes, because Saudi Arabia must buy arms whether they want them or not.
Okay.
And they buy arms they will not use. Yes. They have the F-35s, which they are not going to use, because the software, the USA will retain the software, so you will not use it. They cannot allow you to use it against the Houthis. If Britain will go to Saudi Arabia through its diplomacy and order Saudi Arabia to buy a jet fighter. Now, when Britain has this market, because it's a member of the European Union, right?
Yes.
The rules in the European Union are that we now share the manufacture of this fighter jet.
Right.
So Germany will bring indicators, this one will bring this one will bring this,
tires,
and tires. Now, you go and check on the road and bypass. These are they called what? These reflectors, in the middle of the road. They are from Austria. So they shared, as European Union, they shared that bypass.
Wow.
Yes, you go and check. At least I checked that.
Interesting. Yes.
They shared. It was a donation, but they shared. There is no way European Union would donate this road and you expect China to build it. They don't do it that way.
Montenegro was not a China company.
No, you have not followed. I'm saying
it's European Union.
European Union gave us the road, but gave market to members of the European Union.
Right.
And Austria took that Casmoro deal. At least because Britain is in control of its strong diplomacy, is in control of India, some of those big markets of developing countries, it says no, for us we are not going to stay in your European Union.
Yes.
You want to be sharing on our route.
As we go.
So there you go. what you now call Brexit.
Yes.
Because all it is about, for them, it's about protecting their route. Now, for you, you are open to rapist.
Anytime.
Yes. And you are saying that the diseases you get from the rapist, you want to freely share with your neighbor. Because you see,
a Gothic way of painting.
oh yes, it needs to be that crude. I'm really sorry about it. You have the East African community, what you call the East African community,
yes,
which I don't think is also there. It's a mirage, it's empty. And then you have, say you want to share a market, and the sugar industry, your sugar industry is dominated by an Indian. This Indian is exploiting a Ugandan.
The rice is from Pakistan.
Is exploiting a Ugandan. And then you are saying Tanzania should buy your sugar. So Tanzania therefore has the right to ask, if I buy your sugar, am I empowering a Ugandan to buy my beans?
Okay, I see what you get there. Yes.
Yes. So if the sugar you export to Tanzania was empowering a Ugandan to get revenue to buy beans from Tanzania, then it would be okay.
All right.
So it begins from, and I end with this. It begins from, I saw my mother, she would offer labor to neighbors.
So you can go to school.
With the labor, it's called bank, labor bank. It was like a labor bank, a circle of labor. Digs in your garden, neighbor's garden for 5 days.
So you come on those
5 days, 5 days, 6 days, because you are preparing to clear a garden once. You are looking at finishing, sowing the millet, preparing etc. But one day. Or if it is weeding, you are looking at finishing it in 1 day, because it's far. You're not going to dig probably like 5 kilometers away from home. So you spend days preparing for food, etc. And you have got 20 neighbors whom you banked, whom you saved your labor with.
Okay.
So they are now coming to pay back the labor.
Right.
And you have a target. By 2, 3, 4, you should be done with the garden. I saw it. So it's reciprocal. You get, and but we don't have it with the African states. Why? Because the African presidents are mere agents. They are mere agents,
yes,
of the other powers. That is why China is paying for that building you toured, because people who meet there facilitate the exploitation of Africa.
Right.
If they are going to facilitate,
yes,
getting goods from China, the Africans have got capacity to build that building. Even Ethiopia itself has got because we build stadia, we build what they have that capacity, but they cannot because even Serena, this Serena hotel, do you need an Aga Khan to do that? Really?
All right, all right, Charles. I would like to, before you add, I'd like to go to Mr. Kato. Thank you very much, Charles. Mr. Kato, thinking about the youth that you represent, how does the African Union meaningfully involve young people in the decision making, or it's just token participants? You just come there, participate and what? But do you feel your voice is heard as youth in the African Union?
Yeah, for the short days that I visited the African Union, I actually, of course, they are what we call Africa. Actually, African Union usually works with Uganda.
Yes.
Yeah, so they have envoys, but it is to a limited extent, because when you tour, when you look at you reach the offices, you look at the people within who are working there, actually working at the African Union. If you do not have a person and is from the government, maybe from a ministry, government department, to recommend you. It is very hard, for example, me, or a person who comes from Okunjiri, to get that.
So you must go through government.
I believe that even not
sponsorship
only in the issues of reducing poverty on the African continent, also African Union has not so much engaged the young people, the youth, when it comes to even the peace, because I believe the young people or the youth on the African continent play a very big part.
Yes.
In stabilization of their nations. And because you have seen what has happened in Madagascar, where the Gen Zs have thrown the government. Because I believe the young
where
people,
the Gen Zs provided an excuse for the army to take over.
there was not an excuse because they lacked. Because if you are not able to provide with them the basic need that they require to survive,
yes,
what do you expect?
Of course, AU has what you call the
so they
the
have
Pan-African University dream.
Yes. So the AU
for the youth.
When you look at the Pan-Africanism, so when you look at the mission, they have not so much engaged. Like the conference I had, it was under AU, but I want to assure you that even all the Ugandans that went there, I was actually funded by
So
people.
who sponsored it? That's really important.
Actually, they were being sponsored by actually people who are not African. But we are going
So
where?
you went to
African
Union as an African, sponsored by a foreigner.
What do you think,
Yes, but of course, I would not refuse. But what I'm saying,
but yes,
when you look at African Union,
but if your government doesn't have the money and someone has the money and says you go have given
yes,
so you represent whose view?
no, I'm presenting mine.
Your government.
No, I was for the young people whom I represent,
Yes,
whom I
you want
talk
to
on their
stand
behalf,
in the-
because there are those who cannot manage to come, but here, but I can't speak for them.
But where do you blame?
So,
Where do you blame?
so
that
it's not
person
my
who
blame.
sponsors
Even you, I know you have
If
benefited.
the government is not giving you,
I
the
know you
money
have
need.
benefited.
No,
Yes.
if you want to take me on that, I will be very categorically clear.
Yes.
We cannot forget the African serious problems
Yes.
when it comes to young people.
No, listen, if the government itself is not giving you the money to go there and someone is willing to fund
See,
that,
whoever funds
is there a challenge?
Yes, yeah,
Is there a
but
challenge?
there is
The
a challenge.
funder
Yes,
has
there
interest. Why is
there
funding you?
There is a challenge that the African states, or not even African continent, can fail to engage, to invest in its young population.
So don't blame the one who's funding because he's looked at an opportunity for him to benefit.
Yes, also
if
to
your
run.
own government has not given you that money.
We can,
Yes, but also we must identify that there is a problem.
Yeah.
We
Yes,
must identify
and that's-
that there is
that's
a
the
problem.
issue here.
For example,
All right.
in Madagascar, the Africa, you know, that it's suspended. So, while I was having a discussion with the representative, because Madagascar also, I think, partly is part of SADC. So, this representative of SADC who comes from Mauritius was telling me, because during that time when they were suspending, that is the time I was there. So, according with our discussion, I saw these guys. Even I think African Union is working with SADC. I think that committee is going to be headed by the new elected president of Malawi. Yes. So to mediate on what is going on where? In Madagascar. But when you look at the people they are involving, there is no anything.
There is no young person.
But yet the people who threw the government, who have thrown the government, who are the cause
of that? Yes.
Are the young people, the Gen Zs. So I think on that part,
the African Union.
Has-
And it does not only originate from the headquarters, but also
Within the leadership of the
we, the
country
leadership, the African states themselves. You have to first look back, because it is about, it's like a family that
Yes.
if you are making some decisions within the family, do you involve your children? Do you involve the family members? So even within our countries, our member states, do we? If we cannot do that,
Yes.
do you think we expect African Union? Because African Union is not about the headquarters. It's not about the chairperson Muhammad Yusuf. It's about the people who make the decisions are the heads of states.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. How can we make the African Union more people-centered than just leadership-centered?
Let me start from where he has stopped.
Yes.
The biggest cry I have for our generation is the betrayal of the leaders and those who make decisions for African people. It has never been so evident that a continent will be mobilized to allow its people to sell themselves as slaves, and nobody cares. If national and state governments don't care about the slavery of young people
Yes.
in Europe, in Asia, in all over, people are trying to run out of the African continent so that they can go and become slaves in the pretext of getting a job. It is unfair, and I want to promise this, that as long as people who are in power don't address the modern day slavery, those young people, when they go abroad and they come back here, they will get stones, they will stone you. It doesn't matter how many guns people have. Because the suffering people go through when they are in these countries, when they are trying to work. Why is it that everyone is trying to come to Africa? Chinese are coming to Africa. Europe is coming to Africa. Americans are coming to Africa.
Yes.
And Africans, young people, are running out of Africa. Who has caused the trouble? Is it the attractiveness outside Africa, or the problem that was in Africa? So people are running from one country to another because of instabilities. And of course, African Union has provided mediation, great work. Security, peace, great work. Bloc to negotiate, diplomatic issues, those are great work. But the reality, on every border today, go to Entebbe today and find out how many people have jetted out of the country. You may be shocked that maybe 20 or 30% of those that have left this country are young people going to work as slaves. As slaves!
Actually, as we talk now, here, you will be shocked that there are so many young people at this time trying
as slaves to go.
Red Sea.
People are dying in Red Sea every day. They try to walk through the Kalahari to the waters and die as slaves in those countries that colonized us. And every airport has some funny people from other countries coming in as expats, expatriates, people that are going to build us industries. Every day, if you see who comes in vis-a-vis who goes out, whoever comes in is an expert. Whoever goes out, it doesn't matter whether they have a degree or whatever, you are going to work as a slave.
But whoever comes in,
and you pay for it. You sell your mother's property, mother's land, you go. And nobody documents how you live. And many of them, when they run to our embassies there and they say, I need help, no one gives help. African Union should put a platform where if I'm in Europe and I'm an African and I'm being tortured, I should be able to call the Secretariat in African Union and say, yes, I am from Ghana or from Uganda,
but I'm being tortured here. I need refuge. And African Union should have a voice, say, bring that young person back. African Union should say, nobody should employ its children and make them suffer. They should negotiate how young people are employed.
Yes.
Why is Africa become a battleground for all the Europeans that come here now? People, Chinese, Europeans are telling us, Chinese are ripping you apart. Americans say, be careful of Chinese. Chinese are also saying, for us we need business, whatever. We had the thieves, we had the grabbers, now we have night dancers, they have all come. We have just learned how to survive with all of them, with our problems. Our sicknesses have increased. Our poverty is just increasing.
Yes.
Our troubles have not reduced. So I would really say, as African Union, whatever can be done, whether our parliaments, whether our politicians, whether our civil society, we need to raise our voice. Religious leaders, churches, there are big churches in Nigeria, huge. And all these churches, can they unite as African people, civil society, and form one big group as Christian African people and Muslim African people? No, everyone's trying to do his little thing. So my call is that we cannot make Africa a battleground and pretend that outside Africa is a heaven, and yet we know our people. We have gone abroad, we have gone their degrees, but they don't transact and translate into anything here.
Wow. Thank you very much, Dr. Ntege Jerome, for that passionate plea and a request made to whoever, and most of those that are listening, our leadership, but also the civil society. Thank you very much, Mr. Kato, for your time and for your input. Thank you very much, Mr. Charles from Mushana, for your input in this conversation. Proverbs chapter 11, verse 3. The integrity of the upright will guide them, but the perversity of the unfaithful will destroy them. Father, we thank you for the conversation we've had. We would love to see change happening in many places, but ultimately we look to you to give us the wisdom, to give the leaders the wisdom, to help us in this journey and in these conversations. Now, Lord, we just surrender our hearts and our lives and our country into your hands, and we pray for the African Union, that it will be that which it's meant to be, that it will stand, it will speak, and it will do that which it's meant to do. And we pray that we shall celebrate your goodness in this land of the living. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for listening, our guests and our panelists. Thank you very much, the tech team, for ensuring that this is, continue to watch this, but also thank you for all those who've been watching and viewing. Have a good night and a wonderful day and a week ahead. God bless you.
The truth, the lies, and politics. Informative, educative, and analytical. Getting to the real issues that affect an ordinary individual in areas of leadership, governance, social, and economy. The truth, the lies, and politics